top of the world, about to jump above it. Take it straight to the moon, 'cause we know how to rock it. Ain't no thing you can do, ain't no way to stop it. Now you're feeling it too, let's get it started. Throw your hands in the air while the beat is dropping. Acting like you don't care when everybody's watching. Just keep whipping your hair like that, you got it. Yeah, you're feeling it too, let's get it started. I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started. Charts off the meter, turn it up, blow the speakers, make them all to believers, break through the surface, tell them open the curtains, give them all what they wanted, yeah, now let's get started. Let's get it, get it. Yeah, I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? I'm ready. Let's get it started. Yeah, yeah, I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Let's go. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it, get it. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Give me something new. Time to break it loose. Take it to another level. Now we on the move. Shout if you coming with me. Going over the limit. On your mark, keep it steady. So tell me, are you ready? I'm ready, ready. Let's get it, get it. I'm ready, ready. Are you ready, ready? Let's get it started.
It's time to put the eyeglasses on. Something that we've not done in a very, very long time is be on camera. We are preparing for, of course, round number 1 of the duels in the Daytona events to kick off the Northwest Racing Series Cup. And for those that are part of the SIM500 Call Before You Dig Cup Series, here is just a sample. I'm Wesley Outland. Look who's in the house. It is Justin Prince from Canada, and we are ready to bring it to you. By the way, before we go any further with our coverage tonight at Auto Club Speedway in round number 2 of the SIM500 Cup Series, I would like to ask everybody to keep your thoughts and prayers with my color analyst colleague, John Muschin Jr. He had a passing in his family. It is a difficult time right now. I certainly myself and as many others that have passings of loved ones and friends know what that is like. And for that reason, Justin is filling in on his absence. Justin, welcome back, man. We're going to get ready for the Northwest Cup Series tonight, where we'll be working with each other every Monday night. Hello, Wesley. But we're Auto Club Speedway. We were talking about this before in our production meeting to get things ready, like for tonight. I think we're going to see a good race. And if it's any inclination of what the real NASCAR Cup Series race provided 2 weeks ago, Katie, bar the door.
You're not wrong on that one. It's expected to be an intriguing race tonight in the matter of this is a type of package. This is a type of car where you will see multiple grooves of racing. Drivers trying to ramp the bottom. Drivers trying to run against the wall. Some trying to run to the various middle lines in between to try and get clean air. Draft runs are huge when it comes to this car. Side draft could be huge with this car, and that's all well. It's not an easy car to drive in the first place, Wesley. This will be a wild night for the drivers of SIM500 to try and manage this type of circuit, all the bumps, all the different seams around the track, while trying to find their way to victory lane tonight.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Justin. Same sentiments as well, because obviously we've seen what this car has been, not just in true form on the NASCAR Cup Series in real life, but also in the SIM500 Trans-Service Blizzard Cup Series, the 10-race winner series, to now what we're seeing here with the first week at Daytona. I will say this humbly, throw out the race at Daytona. the real package for these iRacing competitors on the SIM500 Esports League, I think, is going to be unveiled tonight at Auto Club, next week at Vegas, the following week at Phoenix, as we kind of mimic what is the NASCAR Cup Series schedule.
And there's a reason they say the second race on the calendar is the true start to the season, because of that super speedway factor, which could really mean anybody could come away with the victory normally. In this type of a race tonight, and as well with the next few races on the calendar, it's towards the mark where you're going to have to be patient to be able to find your way forward. But it's also showcased in terms of official racing, in terms of this package with this downforce level. It's not easy to go from the back to the front unless you find the right strategy and find some friends and pick the exact right lines to do so. This will be the type of race tonight where you'll see some of the series greats likely towards the front, in particular those who have experience driving low downforce, high horsepower package race cars. For some of those who had maybe more sim experience with the high downforce, that's going to be the tough balance for tonight, where you're so used to near full throttle at Auto Club compared to the dragging the brake and having to let the car roll more to be able to get it to rotate, set her off.
It's going to be a fun time. We're looking forward to you. By the way, this is iRacing on LSRTV. Along with Justin Prince, I'm Wesley Outland. I think over the formalities, but let's mention the people behind the scenes, as this is our Rocket Media iRacing on LSRTV production, and that is Jeff Stabnow and Charles Wooten. We're going to take a quick break. This is race one of our doubleheader. Auto Club now, Daytona later on tonight for the Northwest Cup Series. Stick around. The most exciting 4 hours of esports coverage is on your home for sim racing, and we go to On Track next. For the LSRTV, feel the roar in Daytona as the field comes to green at the world's center of racing. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a virtual race.
Recent storms have caused damage to your property. Contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on nc811.org or the NC811 app.
You're looking live at the virtual Auto Club Speedway. There is about 3 minutes left to go in practice session. And right there is the driver of the number 38 machine. And of course, that is watching these drivers going on course. Well, I'll tell you what, Justin, we see these actions. We see these cars now on the speedway. And yes, that is Chad Coleman. At the drop of the green flag tonight, it will be his 906th start at the SIM500 level of the Esports Cup Series. And you see him right now working around. This is qualifying, mind you. This is actually qualifying. We normally don't highlight qualifying, But, you know, Justin, what we can tell our viewers, there's a lot of cars here. Close to 50 entries to attempt to try to make 43 spots and only 38 lock in on time, my friend.
It's up to 52, in fact, who joining the final couple moments of practice to be able to try and see if they can lock themselves in on speed. And to say it lightly, you don't want to be one of those drivers having to fight for just 5 spots in 8 laps and or 10 minutes. That's not an easy thing to do in the first place, Wesley. You never know if you're going to be involved in an incident. You never know if you're going to end up going 17 wide down the straightaway if you have, say, 17 cars. You don't want to end up having that unpredictability, in so to speak. You get what I mean? You want to be prepared and be able to get yourself mentally set. You don't want to end up being completely stressed right before you jump into the car for the actual main race.
That's exactly right.
And then, yeah.
That's exactly right. Here comes Daniel Faulkingham, by the way, defending champion of the series last year. Kind of had some hiccups along the way at Daytona. We'll see how things change up for now. That driver, the driver of Daniel Faulkingham out of Jonesport, Maine, the 20-year-old. Young driver there, Justin, watching him take time.
I've seen his progression across the iRacing service, and he's really built a name for himself, part with his performances in SIM500 competition, amongst those drivers who were one of the first to achieve 100 victories in SIM500, and a 2-time winner in Sunday Xfinity Series competition for the championship. Also someone trying to make an approach for eNASCAR competition. Keeping my eye on him for the future. Always a very strong competitor when it comes to fixed racing. Top of the board, in fact, with that lap of 41.202.
And by the way, you do see the gap to the pole. That's one of the new bells and whistles that we have going on here as we see Randy Yoakum now hit the racetrack in one of those Virginia 811 call before you digs. And by the way, speaking of Virginia, Martinsville Speedway celebrating 75 years of NASCAR at the action track in Virginia. They have inked a deal where Call 811 Before You Dig will be the official title sponsor, thanks to Brian Morehouse and company, of the NASCAR Xfinity Series event. That is, of course, in April at Martinsville Speedway. I'm looking forward to that event. Of course, 1-800 Race Ticks and the A Call 811 Before You Dig event will be, again, the Xfinity race sponsored by our awesome SIM500 series. Now, all right now, qualifying's over. We just saw Faulkingham put down a really good lap. And Justin, now we really get ready to trim the fat because only 38 cars got locked in from qualifying. That's going to be close to 20 cars that are now going to go at it for a 8-lap hooligan race at Auto Club.
It's going to be very difficult, I think, for these drivers. The difference from first to 38 for the reference, 0.4 of a second. The difference 38 to 39th, how about 1/100th of a second? This is going to be a very tightly contested field, I think, because qualifying amongst them was tight. It's a question, though, of how they'll be starting and how will they try and finish this one out.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. Hey, by the way, 8 laps. We're locking in these cars. And here's your starting lineup. James Somke is on the pole, followed by Stoney Benfield, row 1. Row number 2 on the grid, we'll find Anthony Calantoni in the number 84, Eric Arnold in 31. Row number 3, moving in, Doug Sigmund in the 04, Shannon Wood in 02. Row 4 in this 8-lap heat race, Ron Holyfield and Paul Crumry. Row number 5, the top 10, Richard Beasley in the tie number 10, Jacob Kaplan in the number 11. Row 6, we'll find Jose Medina in 24, Thomas O'Leary the 4th, and the final row of 14 cars, Christopher B. Williams in the 09, Randall Watkins in the 27. Let's take a look at the race 411 real quickly before they take the green flag, bottom left of the monitor. And you will see that practice session done. Qualifying is done. They will go 100 laps after this 8-lap heat race. Last chance qualifier. Weather conditions on the bottom right. Justin, they look very good.
98 degrees Fahrenheit, that track temperature. Fairly grippy this circuit in turn. Lots of rubber was put down as a result of the practice session. 78 degrees Fahrenheit, the air tip. Nice and cool. Cloudy skies on iRacing Day, May 15th. 22 for this start.
Field ready to come to the Geico restart zone and the starting zone here for this 8-lap last chance race. Green flag goes in the air as you just hear it from the spotters, and we're ready for it. 14 cars, only now drops down to 13. One car did not take the start, and quickly contact on the front row. They're not wasting no time, Justin. Here comes Calantoni, Binfield, Somke, and the battle is on off turn 2.
Calantoni just bullied his way right on by to take over that top spot of the inside line, but how about 4 wide nearly in the backdrop? A lot of these drivers know there's not a lot of time to be able to get themselves to the top 5. They are willing to send it as hard as they can to get those positions.
Field comes off of the corner, and Crumride trouble. Oh my goodness, up and over is going to be the 24. That's Medina. Jose Medina airborne. Couple of other cars crashing, and there's no yellow flag, no caution, Justin. This race rolls on. You can say sayonara goodbye to those cars that just wrecked.
That reduces the main pack down to about 9 drivers here. Could be down to 8 with how that Somke machine is really struggling compared to his qualifying pace. Just doesn't seem to have the right grip compared to before. But keep in mind, these drivers with cold tires can really have a handful here. Lots of bobbling and weaving. You see that right now in particular on corner exit with some of the drivers really having to work that wheel to hold on to it on exit.
I wonder if possibly the production truck can give us a replay of maybe what happened in that accident, which, by the way, it's an 8-lap last chance race, so the green flag did stay out. No yellow flag was thrown out. That was in the 100-lap feature. Sure, the yellow flag would have been out when they get ready for their 250 or 200-mile race. But right now, Binfield is leading the way. That's that Mustang number 75, clearing the pack down the back straightaway here at Auto Club in the early going. Of course, Binfield, the number 75 machine, keep an eye on him. He goes to turn number 3. The driver out in front from Albemarle, North Carolina, sets the pace. Tri-oval, Arnold, Calantoni behind him as they go back to turn 1.
Keep an eye on Kaplan in particular. Right now, the first driver out from Denver, Colorado, that 11 machine. Here's a look at the replay. You've seen a bit of that send from inside that turned around them to stack things up on the exit. Nowhere for several of those drivers to go. But just how hard some of those drivers were sending it was just to that same point I was making beforehand. If you got a chance to make it, don't be surprised to see someone lick the stamp, just like we're seeing now with Kaplan towards the backdrop bottom lane.
And right now, as we watch them work their way off of turn 4, Justin, we are seeing 3 wide and 4 wide racing. Nobody is given an inch. And why? We're halfway home. 4 down, 4 to go in this 8-lap last chance preliminary to set the stage for the 100-lap feature. Calantoni at the point, Binfield up on the outside. Meanwhile, it's a hornet's nest behind the top 2 with Arnold, Wood, Kaplan, Holyfield, O'Leary down the back straightaway going to 3.
I like what I'm seeing with Kaplan, but Wood got that better run down the back straightaway side by side for second with the side draft. Arnold just not the greatest positioning there to try and arc his way on forward. That is now making him very susceptible to lose his track position. Wood just hit the wall. That may cost him a spot.
Calantoni still out in front. 3 laps to go. Calantoni staying into that number 1 position. Car number 84. He hugs the bottom of the racetrack. Binfield up out on the outside lane. Little ink and blink and nod for the leader. He got wiggle. There's cars getting turned. Wood goes around. He smacks the safer wall barrier down the back straightaway. And it's sayonara to the rest of the field as they go back to turn number 3. Still no caution and 2 to go, this time by at the stripe.
That also collected Holyfield, so now this lead pack, 6 drivers for 5 spots. 3 wide right behind Calantoni for that bubble spot. He's right now in the safest position at the moment, Wesley. Just has to keep it clean. He's got the clean air, can keep that throttle going compared to the fighting on behind.
From the rear backlit of that camera was that shot from the driver, of course, of the number 84. He resides out of Woodbridge, New Jersey, 26 years old for Dirty Monkey Motorsports. And Anthony Calantoni with a fierce, hungry pack behind him, with Benfield, Kaplan, Arnold, Williams all licking their chops, ready to pounce on him like a coiled cobra as they work off of turn number 4 to the CRN 1 to go. 3 wide for 4th on back at the line as they come to the white flag.
Remember that first driver towards the back of this pack does not make the field, Wesley. This is important. In particular for Thomas O'Leary, he's tried to send it from the inside 2 times already. Can he make it work a 3rd time?
Tries for the final time, 3 wide, a little shove there for a moment by Benfield. They're gonna go 3 wide. They might stick it 4 wide. Benfield gets turned. There's contact. Benfield goes down the apron. Sompkin keeps going. O'Leary keeps going. Sompkin will go now to the final transfer spot. Meanwhile, Calantoni from New Jersey will come to the line. He will win the last chance qualifier to make it into round 2 at Auto Club. Kaplan 2nd, Williams 3rd. Justin Prince. Is that any inclination in 8 laps of what we're about to see in 100? That was fast and furious along the way.
I think in particular what you'll see on short run, cutthroat to be able to try and fight for the positions, and that's kind of what you need to be when it comes to clearing drivers. You see with the unofficial race results, keep in mind, Calantoni dominated this one. Kaplan went from the back of the pack towards the front of the end. Williams, Arnold, O'Leary, though with that incident down the backstretch, Wesley, did get that 5th position. Somke, first driver out as a result. Tough break for Benfield, who was inside the top 5 the whole race until the back.
And you are seeing the rest of the field now coming across the start-finish line. Crumrye, 20 seconds back. Medina, 41 seconds back. Benfield 1 lap down as he got turned to the back straightaway. He was going to be in the catbird seat in the hunt and literally taking out. A quick warm-up. 100 laps. We come back. We've got some special content along the way that we're going to talk about when we return. This is iRacing on LSRTV. Welcome back to iRacing on LSRTV. Round number 2 of the SIM500. Call 811 before you dig. NC Cup Series. Wesley Outland, Justin Prince alongside, and it is time to go racing. Starting lineup here, presented by Team 126 Racing at Auto Club Speedway. Daniel Faulkingham is on the pole. Tyler Dalton to the outside, defending champion, ready to bring him to green. Row 2. Tommy Ryan in the 99 and Jose Gonzalez, the Macho Taco in 26. Row 3, Ryan Howard in 33. Justin Mons, we'll be talking about him in a few moments. Row 4 on the grid, we'll find Brian Macklin, the Daytona winner, to his outside, Mike Kelly in 2. Row 5, top 10. Robert Ferrari the third in the 77, Bentley Glazer in 18. Row 6, Kevin DeBrown, 93, and Doy Woods in 28. Row number 7 on the grid, Bobby Weitzel in 9, and Robert Gillenwater in the number 4. Row 8, top 16, Jimmy Coleman in 54, Trey Edson in 7. Row 9, we'll find Dwight Beverly in 01, Josh Parker in the 81, and the top 20 starters, Jeff Ryan in 3, and the Rhinestone Campbell, Glenn Campbell in 44.
21st spot tonight goes to the 22 machine. That's Nelson Rivera starting alongside the Chad Coleman. Back in 22nd. EJ O'Rourke starts on behind in the 23rd position this evening. He'll start alongside the 13 of David Comstock. Then 25th, Charles Woods in the 40 machine will start alongside Scott Stenzel in 26th. Then 27th to 28th, Chris Gibbo, along with Ryan Daly. Amongst those drivers, Scott Simley, Elliot Henderson, your top 30. Look at the rest of the drivers of note. Randy Yoakum in 32nd towards that back grouping. Also amongst those towards the bottom of the qualifying pile in the note, Harold Livingston. Final of those drivers behind row 17. You also have Joey Katina in 37. Jeff Hollingsworth was the last driver on time. Everybody else came from that last chance qualifier. It's going to be an intriguing race, led with Thomas O'Leary at the back of the pack.
Yeah, 5 drivers made it in, and we're set to go after close to 50 cars. Now 43 virtual charter members of the Fraternal Order of Go Fast are ready to giddy up and gallop. Round 2 from the super speedway to the intermediate tracks to see who's got the best package. It's time for the LSRTV Feel the Roar at Auto Club. We come to green in Fontana. Comes across the start-finish line. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a virtual race. We're set 200 miles, 100 laps around Auto Club Speedway. The freight train roars right now with Faulkingham leading the pack. Dalton Gonzalez all there. Meanwhile, while the top 5 go single file, Justin, they're 2 by 2 behind him in the top 10 to 3.
A lot of side drafting amongst that grouping, too. Keep in mind, you see that amongst that Justin Mons. We talked about him. Amongst those with a fair amount of experience, whether on the crew chief box, working with the NASCAR drivers, or working some of the premier series when it comes to NASCAR members of the community on iRacing. Mons doing a very decent job so far. Top 5, but battle for the lead, side by side, Wesley.
By the way, thanks to Will Duvall and his awesome side speed shot camera work for making that happen for LSR TV. And right now, Faulkingham, the man out in front, that's the Chevrolet, the Ford behind him. Gonzalez right there in another Chevrolet, opens the door. Faulkingham, outside lane, goes Dalton inside, excuse me, coming through. The battle of Bowtie and Ford, Chevrolet and Oval as they work off turn 4.
Good side draft from Dalton. He's got some help, though, to be able to push him along. Gonzalez, very tight, though, trying to lay arc up the corner.
Guys like Gonzalez and Ryan, and we got trouble. Speaking of the 99 going around, I just mentioned his name, took the words right out of my mouth, and Ryan goes spinning in the spin cycle off turn 4, and he almost collects other cars. And the yellow flag is out. Justin, it's the jinx. I literally was just going to say Jeff Ryan comfortable right now in the 99 car after some bad luck at Daytona last week, and he goes spinning in the pack off turn 2. Yellow flag for the first time tonight at Auto Club.
That was the brother of Tommy who's driving the 99 tonight, but it was some help from Justin Mons in particular, it seemed, into turn 1 entry, Wesley, and that's one of the main things that has been a trouble spot for some. Lifting points and dragging points for the brakes to enter the corner. Some drivers have different philosophies, whether using the brake marker for the 3 sign or the 2 sign to be able to use as your brake saving and tire saving mark. Just looked like, at least from my viewpoint, Wesley, just that miscommunication there. I believe we'll get a chance to see exactly what I'm referring to here. Just that contact spins around the 99 in a very tough spot.
Yeah, tough break there, and any moment now the replay is coming as our production crew working diligently behind the broadcast to find out what went wrong. The 99, was there bump draft? Was there side draft? Let's find out now. Live feed on the bottom right. Here's your replay, and watch them as they go off into the corner, right off into 1 and 2. Right now our cameras are showing this, and from this angle, Oh, Howard got into him. A couple of Virginia 811 call before you dig cars, and everybody else missed him on the high side. Wow.
Let's put it this way. He got lucky not to get hit by some who may have been trying to run towards the wall there with how hard that contact was and how quick that slide was. Good reaction time for some. But with the scoring loops, though, Wesley, Faulkingham's already lost the lead. Dalton timed it up pretty well with the timing of what happened behind him.
So Howard gets into him, and then everybody else missed him. Faulkingham is the man that's leading the way. Justin, still early. Nobody's pitting right now, I don't think. Do you?
I don't right now because, one, track position's extremely important at this type of a racetrack because you have one group of drivers side by side for too long, Wesley. The amount of side draft force can potentially cost that pack the draft of the grouping in front by about a second if they go too long. So that's something you have to factor in. Two, drivers who are currently in this pacing line, 21st position is 9 seconds back forever. Think about that in a race situation. It's going to be more compact than that, but that's a lot of time you'd have to make up on the racetrack. As well, it's a two-stopper regardless of how you slice it with how the windows are expected to go tonight. So you have to think about it that way where you can go about 40 or so laps on the gas. You have to think big picture and maybe think if it's around lap 20, take the gamble. But right now, hold on to the sets. No need to come in to top off unless you had a problem.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And by the way, this is the SIM500 Esports Racing League, North Carolina 811. Call before you dig. Cup Series, round number 2. Auto Club Speedway. Lights are off on the pace car. The Ford Mustang will come back to the Geico restart zone next time by. Let's set up the restart of the top 10 for you with just 6 laps complete. Tyler Dalton leads. Faulkingham is in second. Gonzalez third. Justin Mons is fourth. Kevin DeBrown, Ryan Howard, Brian Macklin, the Daytona winner, Glazier, Kelly, and Woods, the top 10. And by the way, speaking of the driver of the number 7, of course, Mr. Mons, the driver, of course, of number 49. My apologies. I was looking at the 7th starting position. Number 49, Brian Mons, our driver of the SIM500 League from Glen St. Mary, Florida. Let's go real quickly and show you what it's like for him as he gets ready to bring the field back to the green flag. We're not going to talk to him, but there he is right there, onboard camera with the driver of Florida's Justin Mons. Hope you enjoyed that weather in the Sunshine State. It's been a nice 85 degrees here in North Carolina, but severe weather is on the horizon. Maybe, just maybe, it will hold off until we finish up tonight. Because don't forget, the Northwest Racing Series Duels and Daytona Opener is also this evening on iRacing on LSRTV and on the radio, Community Radio Network. Green flag goes back in the air. Gonzalez gets the jump on Faulkingham, but can't run down Melton. Dalton, they go off into turn number 1, back underway.
Nice and clean this time, still 2-3 wide for the most part, but expect drivers at this point knowing what they just seen in the backdrop to be a bit of a factor on how aggressive they're willing to take it. Faulkingham, of course, though, remember, clean air is very critical to help save some of the tire grip in this machine. Expect him to try and find a way, be able to get clear for second for 1, 2, try and get back at Tyler Dalton here.
Through the tri-oval, there you see the 99 of Ryan. He's back on racetrack again. Also behind the number 8 machine. And while that goes on in the back of the pack with Randy Yoakum, the field works off the corner. Back straightaway. Dalton, Gonzalez, they stay in their line. Top 5, 6, 7 cars of the conga lineup on the top shelf as they work to 3. No one jumping out of line. 90 laps to go when they work through the start-finish line, and still a long way to go. Dalton holds his own, keeps it down to the outside lane as they work off the corner, a little sideways between Mons and Macklin as that works off across the start-finish line, and they go back into tail and setting sail to 1.
And just on behind all this top 3 grouping, Justin Mons lost that top line, Wesley, and this is one of the talking points. You lose the preferred line that becomes that mark at the wrong time, you get choo-choo train. For Mons, he's already been choo-choo trained by 3 different drivers. You have to just find the hole like you just did right there. If you're in that spot, you basically have to hope that you don't give up that line, and it just puts that extra emphasis on actually being able to have that speed to hold on to that line, and as well that experience to know when it's switching from middle to bottom or top to bottom in terms of the rubber grip and the preferred line.
Single file on the outside lane as they work off the corner. Now they'll slide and weasel down to the bottom of the racetrack. Open up the door now for Macklin, the Daytona winner last Monday night. He now squeezes up on the outside lane, throws the block on Kelly and DeBrown. They get bunched in. They're out of nowhere. Here come some other cars. Edson, Woods, Coleman now sneaking into the top 10 as they work off of turn number 3. Donnie Leah's coming, 2 in the 28.
Very quiet run for Donnie Leah so far amongst those, and 28 machine is chugging ahead. Nice looking paint scheme, we'll say, for tonight's action, but I will say, this is Doyle Woods, I should rather say. Bit of a bobble coming up that entry, though, and it's some checkups involving Mons and company. Mons with a problem.
And by the apologies, it is Doy Woods in car number 28, not Donnie Leah. Sometimes Donnie Leah drives a car that's very set, Justin, but that is actually Doy Woods' car right there as he's in the top 10. Field comes to the line. Big thanks again to Will Duvall, BJ Duvall, and Outlaw Cams. Cameras presented by Team Outlaw Motorsports. We appreciate them awesome camera shots, the speed shots. It makes the broadcast even more exciting. Mons, we mentioned him earlier, Justin. He's now fell back in the top 20. He's in 18th as Dalton is the leader. I was going to say, let's go real quickly on camera and see what his focus is in race mode. We're not going to talk to him. We might try to grab a word with him under caution. But as we go to a little small screen, you can see our in-driver analyst, and there you see him right there. And honestly, Justin, he's as focused as he was under caution. The lights are out, except on the screen. He's focused straight ahead, looking at the prize at the end of the rainbow tonight at Auto Club.
That and outside of, I believe that looked like a hallway of sorts. But the reason, keep in mind, Mons fell this far back was Ryan Howard actually got into the back end of him with that brake mark mentioning I had about in that entry to turn 1. That's him sliding to the inside. And when you have that miscommunication like that on track between your preferred lines, it can cost you. Justin Mons, that ended up being his situation here, where he's just absolutely getting swarmed. The tires are also heated up a bit from the slide. And that's not a good recipe, where if you overcook your tires, you end up having to avoid trouble like this.
Whoa! Cars in the grass in the infield, and they're spinning. DeBrown, Kevin DeBrown, that is, smacks his rear end into the back of the outside safer wall barrier. A couple of more cars now scamper inside and outside. He stalls in the middle of the racetrack, and the caution will come out for the second time. Justin, you saw it break loose off the front straightaway.
Now watch this battle on the side. Actually pushes tight into the wall. Too much throttle on that point. And with this car, it's not easy to save. Because of the wire tire tread, it's easy to just overcorrect right. He ends up overcorrecting, bounces off at least 2 to 3 drivers, bounces a second time, and everyone forced to scatter. That is similar to what happened in real-world action at Las Vegas, keep in mind, several times.
Yes, and mind you, that's kind of like what happened, Justin, to Jeff Ryan a moment ago in the first caution. When he got up on the outside lane out of turn 2, everybody missed him. No caution with just a single car spin.
Still, he had some contact, I will say, Wesley. But after he straightened things out, that, I will say, give credit to the field to avoid. I will say as well, you have to be careful in the grass with what we've seen in terms of this front end, because if you slam down on it, it can crunch in your front nose, and that's a danger. Pit stop's expected, though, Wesley, at this point.
Yeah, I got a feeling they're going to be coming out of the pit lane here in just a few moments. You're 16 laps in, roughly 80% fuel tire package. Justin, between 25, 30 laps, maybe 40. I think that's pushing it, where you're going to have to come to the pit lane and take on new rubber and obviously fuel. And here is my answer. It is all led by Dalton. Macklin pulls a slider at the last minute and left Dalton hung out to dry as he comes down to the pit lane. Dalton pits, Faulkingham is in, Edson's in. Brian Macklin looked like he was going to go all the way to the commit cone and zigged right. Good or bad move as pit stops are underway, Justin?
That's an intriguing one where you're gambling that you're going to have an error caution with the next 15-20 lap. Says that's not a good pit box entry for Dalton. It may cost him that lead grouping of drivers coming on down. But the point I was trying to make there is, the gamble is by Macklin, Gonzalez, Kelly, Coleman, and company. They're expecting the cautions to continue to trigger and stack up. And their opinion is, track position, you're likely to still hold on to the front. And most drivers have had a hard time cutting through the pack outside of maybe Trey Edson. This is a gamble where you're hoping that you get a caution with the next 15-20 laps before you would have to come in under green.
And Macklin, the Daytona winner in the Trans-Service Toyota Camaro, has moved back. The man, the young man, 31 years old, from Hartley, Delaware. We're under caution. We're going to thank some sponsors. Here is your Saw Blade top 5 on the top left of the monitor. As we go to a quick break, we come back. NC811 SIM500 Cup Series returns. This is iRacing on LSRTV. For the LSRTV, feel the roar in Daytona as the field comes to green at the world's center of racing. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a virtual race.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on nc811.org or the NC811 app. If recent storms have caused damage to your property,
the field just took the green flag. They're on the back straightaway. Macklin out in front, Gonzalez in second. Following in suit is going to be that 54 machine. First time we've mentioned him tonight. Jimmy Coleman, Brian Daly, Mike Kelly now your top 5. Rivera, O'Rourke, Williams, Gabo, and Woods top 10 on the restart now, working lap number 20 this time by 80 to go. Justin, they're 3 wide as they go to turn 1.
What a launch up the middle for that 06 machine with the silver machine Daly. Someone with eNASCAR, Coca-Cola, iRacing experience, keep in mind, utilizing some of that right there. Just couldn't get himself clear, though, with himself getting boxed in essentially right around Jimmy Coleman right now. He's got some great raw pace, though. That's the furthest he's been up to the field because of this strategy.
Macklin up on the outside lane. Here comes Gonzalez hugging back down on the bottom, and he'll take wingmans with him on the top and the shelf. It's Gonzalez and Kelly. Deli and O'Rourke. Rivera now peeks to the outside, to the inside, back to the outside again. Who do you run with? The outside lane looks quicker. Gonzalez hung out to dry. Macklin to the point. The Daytona winner last Monday night leads the Toyota into one.
Jimmy Coleman right now just couldn't get the great run to be able to keep up with Macklin coming off the corner, but the top line has been the better line to be able to get the run down the back straightaway. It was what we were seeing and talking about prior to that caution. But the battle for the race lead, trying to go for the sin is Coleman. Just can't get it to quite stick on the bottom yet as Macklin able to pinch down.
Field works their way back across the start-finish line. Another lap in. Racing, rock and rolling continues on here at Auto Club Speedway. Round 2, lap 22. 30 out in front in car 2. Kelly coming after the machine of the 54 of Coleman as they work off turn 2 to the backstretch. 3 wide for second as well.
Just about. And keep in mind, when it came to Kelly and that move there for second, that's the risk you take if you don't clear by Apex, like we just seen right there. You can't clear, you're falling back.
Can't clear, falling, bouncing off the wall, goes the 06 machine. And Byron Daly saves it. 3 wide, Rivera now. The Joker in the middle, clowns to the left to meet Jokers to the right. And now here goes Kelly under attack as now Daly goes to the outside of the 06 machine. Rivera, they're 4 wide off turn 2.
And nice and stable coming off the corner. That's going to be an issue for Daly. We'll save that damage long run if he gets out of the pack. See if it hampers him for some of the pro level, Wesley, on the surface, especially rear end damage. It can cost you several seconds or you can get bounced off of.
Save, Rivera, he saved it. Oh, no, he did not. He lost it, and they're wrecking. Cars going around through the tri-oval. Missing it was Coleman. Other cars zigging, zagging, crashing, and it started with Nelson Rivera. First time, he saved it. Second time, he collected numerous cars. Yellow flag is out, and even Tyler Dalton just got collected in 19 as well. Here is your Pulse Poppers instant replay, Justin, of what went down. 4 wide, you might want to reconsider it again as contact's made.
And just the 22 pushes up the track, bounces off 2 different sets of cars. Just pandemonium ensues, essentially. That's the difficulty, right, of being able to lift out of the gas, because with this car, you lift out of the gas, you can destabilize the nose. It can really make even more squirrely than just sticking your foot in it, essentially. Fortunately for a lot of drivers, at least 10 drivers, significant damage from all that contact there.
So, obviously, the 22 involved of, the driver that we were just referring to. Man, what a tough break for that driver of Nelson Rivera. Rivera, Doy Woods, Montesi, Yoakum, Dwight Beverly, the 10 of Richard Beasley caught up in it, the number 8 machine, or the 9 of Bobby Weitzel involved, the 19, obviously, of Dalton we just mentioned. Tough break for these guys, and obviously, pit stops are also ongoing. By the way, we're 1/4 of the way through, 75 to go, 25 to halfway, and Justin, they're on pit stops again.
Most of them able to have a nice and clean run. Just in total, 6 drivers stayed out on the racetrack this time. Keep in mind, a lot of the drivers who took that decision to pit under the previous caution, they wrecked, and Macklin just spun the tires on exit.
No! The Daytona winner spinning his tires, losing it coming off the pit lane. And you gotta wonder, Justin, how much damage is on that 30 car as well.
That thing's destroyed because of how hard that clattered the wall, but if we get a chance to look back at that, keep in mind, when you hit the gas with this car, it's not like with the Gen 6 on most tracks where you end up not having too much tire spin unless you have low gearing ratios. With this next-gen machine, though, in first gear with how quick the power band is, once you get yourself off the jacks, and if you're not careful, you might actually bobble and weave straight to the right, like he did, and immediately light up the back tires and spin as it hits the top of the rev limiter. You see, it's a standard pit stop, right? Go off and away just as you come off those left side tire jacks. Complete said service. But watch right here. Nearly loops in the first time, hits the rev roller right there. This is where he loops it.
And so honestly, Justin, that's not the mistake of the car that got into him the first time, or that's basically a fault by Macklin.
That's his fault, yes. He ended up hitting the gas too hard, and that's the result of it with this car on pit lane. You have to be gentle on the exit of the pit box.
Don't forget, coming up tonight, it is the duels and the Daytona opener for the Northwest iRacing Cup Series with, yes, the next-gen car. Justin, it's been over a year since me and you have done an iRacing broadcast together. What is your take, my friend, of the new next-gen car, not only on the real world, but the sim world, like tonight for this SIM500 Cup Series?
I think it's put on some great racing in real world and in the virtual world so far. It's a very difficult car to drive, and that's the thing. It's hard to drive, and it really tests the talent of the drivers who are behind the wheel. And you see it in the real world in particular. The drivers who are talented are the ones that are able to hold on to the machines. You even have drivers who are former champions spinning those cars out, though, keep in mind. That's what everyone wants. You don't want a car that you can just put your foot in it and go around the circuit. It's been some great racing on the service so far with this machine. Everybody loves this respective package from who I've spoken to because of how it races, especially at these bigger tracks like this.
Field will make their way back to the Geico restart zone with Gonzalez. Tomorrow's Taco Tuesday. Macho Taco leads them back on the restart. Gonzalez is gone. Weitzel now making a move and home with Howard. All of these cars caught up in the caution a few moments ago. Gonzalez falling back to 5th. He's on the outside lane. Howard goes. Glazier goes. Weitzel to the lead. Glazier wants to point as they go to the back straightaway to 3.
Keep your eye, though, on Gonzalez, the first of the drivers to pit. And while it's difficult on the cold tires to be able to make moves, those tires will make a big difference long run, pace-wise. And they've got the raw talent. Driver I'm keeping my eye on the most, though, Parker, who essentially took fuel only despite being absolutely demolished to get himself track position here.
And the race rolls on as they work their way back around the start-finish line, back to turn number 1 and 2 at speed. 3 wide if Howard can muster the momentum to get in that VA811 machine to the top shelf. He can't. Glazier to the lead. Gonzalez will follow. He's the wingman. Here comes Howard. Calantoni now back up in the mix. Remember Calantoni? The last chance showdown winner of the 8-lap fiasco that was to set the rest of the lineup. So where did he start?
Behind him.
39th, Justin. 39th, and there's a caution. Yellow flag is out.
Scott Stenzel just got... Monsto's in the vicinity, yes, but Scott Stenzel just got hooked into the corner, but the reason is partly on his own, because remember how I talked about they will be on edge loose? Look at how hard he sends it in the entry. And look at how sideways he gets until he drifts all the way down the track into a bumper.
Oh, I'm just happy to be here. And then he has some help. Oh, my goodness. And again, Justin, besides the big wreck, we're in our 4th caution. The first 3 yellow flags out of 4 could have been massive pileups, and it just turned out to be just a single car accident for the driver of the car number 42 of Mr. Scott Stenzel. Again, yellow flag coming out for the driver from Alexandria, Minnesota in the personal comfort entry. The 41-year-old puts us under yellow flag. 4 cautions. There's your lead changes. 4. Caution laps right now are 7.
Cautions are definitely being a big part of the strategy at this point to try and figure out, do you pit, do you stay out? Looking like staying out at this point seems to be the very much good trend, with a lot of these drivers still figuring out how to drive this machine. And I've spoken to several competitors about this, and every time I ask the question of how much you've had to reprogram yourself compared to the previous package, it's been massive, essentially, to paraphrase. This is at levels from the top league competitors to the top eNASCAR drivers, that it's taken them time to learn and relearn how to drive the machine, because it was about 2 to 3 years, remember, between the last low downforce package in the top level of NASCAR with the Gen 6 machine to what we have now with this current package with the next gen machine. It's not as simple as saying apples to apples. This is more so apples to an onion.
And mind you, Justin, there's a lot of racing left to go. Wave around being offered to the number 8 machine, as that driver will take the wave around, or take the free pass, actually, if you will. Randy Yoakum, first car a lap down, gets the free pass. He'll go back on the lead lap. Anybody else that decides not to go to the pit lane pulls up in front. They can take the wave around if they're a lap or more down, just like, Justin, the way the real NASCAR Cup Series does it. The same protocol, the format, with a mimic of the SIM500 Esports League NC811 Cup Series. Same deal.
And it's a very popular move, I will say. And I will say as well, SIM500, a long-time series on the iRacing platform, one of the longest running ones, and has developed a lot of strong talent. It attracted a lot of said talent in turn. For example, we talked about Faulkingham making a name for himself with his experience in this series. You have drivers like Comstock that have dominated in a lot of races in the past. Parker, who's amongst those, making his iRacing comeback after some years of the various other NASCAR platforms and series, making his way forward. Edson, in particular, comes to mind. Macklin, as talked about. Dalton amongst those who races in this series. And then you also have others, such as Daly, and many more, that just have always really intrigued me with how they've raced here. And on top of that, you also have the, every once in a while, Donnie Leah in the field, too. You never know.
That's right.
In some cases, and just the talent level is so high when it comes to M500 as a whole, I will say, top to bottom.
Yeah, you look at Donnie Leah, and of course the real credentials of being a NASCAR Will and Modified Tour national champion from Woodbury, New York, and not only that, a NASCAR Camping World Truck Series winner back in the early 2000s at the Mid-Ohio Sports Road Course. His only NASCAR win, but hey, you're a NASCAR Touring Series winner. Let's set up the top 10 here as we get back for the restart. When they come back to the Geico restart zone with 30 laps complete, 70 to go, 20 to halfway. Bentley Glazer now the leader. Jose Gonzalez in second. By the way, Glazer up 9 spots. Ryan Howard third. Bobby Weitzel is fourth. Calantoni, the last chance winner, is up to fifth, up 35 spots. Parker, Ryan, Kelly, Fowler, Campbell. Sounds like a law firm, a big law firm, but that's your top 10 as they make their way back to the Geico restart zone. Pace car is in. 2 by 2, like Noah leading the animals to the arc. They come back to the restart box, and Justin Glazer gets the restart. He's gone. Whole shot, if you will, as he sets sail to turn 1 on the restart on lap 32.
Absolutely caught everybody else sleeping, it looked like, on when he timed that up. Nicely done. But here's the thing. Can he maintain this gap in distance? Will they start squabbling behind him, in particular with Jose Gonzalez, who has those bit pressure tires and more fuel on hand to deal with? That's my intriguing thing to watch for here.
Back straight away, off to 3 now, working into 4. Through the tri-oval. Gonzalez reels him in, and we got caution on the speedway again. Trouble. Yellow flag is out. I believe it's Calantoni. Calantoni's involved in 84 and a couple of other cars as well. Wow,
and
Justin.
technical issues is a major factor in all this, Wesley. They were 3 wide entering turn 3, and watch this 84. He'll be there, make contact, appears inside Faulkingham. That gets him turned. Collects 2, 3, 4 drivers at least.
Macklin in the fence again. Rivera in the fence again. He got plowed in the backside of Calantoni's car. Yellow flag flies for the 5th time here at Auto Club Speedway. And such a tough break. Because you got to remember, Justin Prince, for that Jersey car door entry number 84 out of New Jersey, there is no fast repairs. There is no opportunities to click a button and say, beep, okay, I'm back, I'm fixed, let's go at it again. What you have is what you have in this fixed series. It might be the end of the line for Calantoni.
In terms of contention, maybe. He's lucky to not have his race end from how hard some of those hits were. He doesn't have a meatball flag. It is worth noting. Jimmy Coleman, though, once those happen to get repairs done this time from all of that, you also have drivers like the 44 Glenn Campbell, who got a huge lick in that. A lot of those machines just not going to have the greatest positioning in first place. I've seen a couple make it work with damage, but that's easier said than done, Wesley. You need a clean car to really contend.
Let's check in with Glen St. Mary, Florida's Dark Horse Motorsports driver, Justin Mons, and he is our in-race content through this broadcast, just some of the new features that we've got going on. Justin Mons, it's Wesley and Justin in the iRacing LSR TV broadcast booth. You got a copy? He can't hear us. Okay, so that's something we got to work on. He cannot hear us. My apologies. There you go. Fumble number 1. We'll work on that. But there you see Justin. And right now he is just the same as he was earlier. The same as it ever was, Justin. One Justin to another Justin. He Triple C, calm, cool, and collective.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how calm he's been, knowing he's been up in the top 5. Wasn't for the contact from behind, he'd still probably be inside the top 10. Now he's dealing with the rear end damage that's really hampering him, and he hasn't been able to really make any progress since then. Very calm and very precise, I will say, for someone that's been through this much so far early on. But when it comes to the race itself, getting ready to get that one to go signably this time by with a quick yellow circuit here. Again, we're towards that point where we're about 15, 20 laps out from the green light to make it towards the end of the race on gas. And it seems almost every gamble to stay out has worked out for most. Yes, it loses you early ground, but you see the risk of putting yourself in the hornet's nest, right? If someone makes contact in front, guess who has to dodge them?
You call it the hornet's nest. I call it the snake's patch, but somehow, some way, it's calamity if you get caught up in it. Let's take a look at let's give you the point standings, if you will, past Daytona last week in the 500K. Obviously, Brian Macklin was the winner. 2 times he's been caught up in an accident. He had a 5-point lead over Byron Daly, who was second in the standings. 45 points total. 10 back is Donnie Leah, not here tonight. Daniel Faulkingham, the defending champion, in a tie with Thomas O'Leary for 4th and 5th. Bentley Glazer in 6th. David Comstock only 16 back, tied with Scott Simley. Robert Gillenwater, Elliot Henderson, the top 10. And some of these names, as they get the one to go before green next time by, Justin, are not even in presence tonight, or they couldn't make the field from the last chance race at qualifying.
They're actually coming to the green flag, Wesley, but you're right. Some of those drivers who finished well at Daytona and led laps there, they haven't had the cleanest of luck today. Here's the thing. There's still 65 laps to decide things here. Green flag.
Field back to the Geico restart zone. They'll send it past the start finish. Up the racetrack, here comes Howard and Parker and Ryan going at it. Inside, outside lane. Which lane is preferably the best? Howard can't decide. He'll tuck under the Daytona pole winner of Parker. Parker up to 3rd. Defending champion Faulkingham back to the top 5. Top 5, top 6 single file back straight away. And look at the hornet's nest going on as they go to turn 3.
Big sendo for the race lead. Gonzalez with those much fresher tires, able to quickly clear on by. What a run, though, for Gonzalez in that Smash Burgers Beers and Shakes machine. Look at Parker, though. He's amongst those still fighting on his strategy call with the fuel only, with significant right side damage. I'm shocked he's still up here and trying to make a pass here.
Field works their way back across turn number 3. Racing roars on, it goes on, continues on. Look at Gonzalez out in front. Gonzalez, Glazer, Parker, Faulkingham, Howard. By the way, want to let everyone know that LSR Productions is having some technical issues. They are working on that. We are still on go. Gonzalez, Glazer working their way. We're going to patch through it and work through it while we stay on the air. closing in on halfway, and Justin Gonzalez leading the way and pulling away almost 3/4 of a second on Glazier. Parker right there with him, and Faulkingham, top 4 now, beginning to try to set sail from Howard, Coleman and company behind that big snakes patch as they go to turn 3.
And a lot of those drivers in said snakes patch, as you call it, significantly damaged. Hence why some of the drivers may not be as quick when they are single file compared to the side-by-side because of the amount of drag this car can have. But if you look towards the very front, Wesley, how about 2x2? You know who wants his lead back? Faulkingham.
Side by side, Faulkingham to the lead. Back straight away, Gonzalez. One car contact in the back. There's one zigging and zagging to the gap, to the bottom of the apron. Still no caution. Meanwhile, Faulkingham, Gonzalez, they go at it for the lead off turn 4.
Oh, they're very tight for Faulkingham, using all the side of the door just about at Gonzalez. Got a friend, though, in Parker that's willing to work with him to try and push him clear. Knows his track record, knows that experience that Faulkingham has actually bumped him clear to get the lead here.
Glazier back up there along with Parker. That's for 3rd to 4th. Contact again, trouble, car in the wall. Number 5, Cabot turned into the pack. Caution out again at Auto Club. And they're still wrecking behind them. More cars getting turned. It all started with number 5, Chris Cabot. And Cabot starts a chain reaction. Like what happened around lap 20 on the front straightaway happens exactly, Justin Prince, on lap 40 in the back straightaway in the snakes patch, again, as you mentioned.
This is the 5 right here. This is after the contact. What happened here, Wesley, is he actually clipped the very edge of the safer barrier when it started to transition back to no safer barrier, down the middle of the back straight away. You see right here, he's already dealing with the significant amount of damage. That's going to impact how it handles this specifically in dirty air. And as well, he's trying to keep that right front tire cool with that offset. When Mods clears on by, he tries to keep it hits the right rear tire, should say, on the edge. Makes contact with a few drivers, pins around, loses the front nose right there. And just that one mistake by 1 or 2 inches ends his race.
That's heartbreaking. What a tough break. Cars are going to pit, obviously, Justin. Do you think money stop here? We're not even halfway yet, but are you thinking money stop? Some cars faking to come to pit lane. Obviously,
point,
Josh Parker just pitted.
I was about to say, it's a gamble spot, I think, more so than I would say a money stop spot. Because if you're someone who's been struggling a bit with your tires after your strategy call, someone dealing with damage, why not roll the dice? Kelly, who ended up hitting the wall, he's amongst those coming in. Parker, we talked about, had damage. He actually just missed his pit stall, so that's not going to help Josh Parker's case right now. For a few of the other drivers, they've been involved in it several times. For Parker, he's probably going to have to come in again, Wesley. Yeah, it's just
when it rains,
good night.
It pours. My goodness. When it rains, it pours. And that is the happening for the Pepsi number 81 of Josh Parker. By the way, again, John Mustian Jr., who is normally my color analyst on the SIM500 NC81 call before you did Cup Series on Monday night. John had a family emergency over the weekend. His wife's father-in-law passed away, and our condolences are with the entire family, loved ones, and Justin being able to step in and join me to prepare for the Northwest Racing Cup Series race that, by the way, is coming up next. It will be live 11:35 Eastern Time, 10:35 Central, 8:35 Pacific on iRacing on LSRTV, as well as iRacing returning on the Community Radio Network at wearecrn.com. You can actually go back, and it sounds like a MRN, PRN broadcast. And the power of radio to the imagination of the listener, and we're excited to have iRacing back for a third year with the Northwest Cup and Truck Series. So again, the race after tonight for this one, when this race is over, in less than an hour's time, we're back for Daytona. And Justin, we get lights off on the pace car, 1 to go, green next time by. You literally are going to have the duels, which is qualifying races, which is basically races within themselves, and then the Daytona race to set the opening go for the Northwest Racing Series Cup program.
It just puts that much more pressure on the whole night, because usually when you have a qualifying race format, a lot of series do it on almost a separate week in some cases, Wesley. In some cases, I've seen it spread out by as much as 2 to 3 weeks. For this night, you have to perform in one go, one evening, full stop, get yourself a qualifying, get your starting position, and then you have a very short-term memory as a result of what happened in qualifying race for when you take the green for the race itself. It's going to be a wild night, I think, and will really test drivers, because keep in mind, that's expected to be a tight fuel window in that race alone in and of itself, knowing how things worked out in NASCAR for those drivers with this car.
Should be an exciting one. iRacing on LSRTV and the Community Radio Network after the conclusion of the SIM500 Cup Series. Field goes back to the Geico restart zone. Coming up, our mid-race report, but still 7 to halfway, 57 to the finish, and the champion is here. Faulkingham back to the loud pedal and the green flag. Gonzalez on the outside. Glazier back on the bottom for second, and they go to 1.
Great launch for Faulkingham once more. Wraps the bottom to try and get himself away from the rest of the pack with his fresher grip. Keep in mind, Glazier and Howard, 3rd and 4th, are still on older tires. They're side by side for 3rd. Glazier loses ground down the backstretch. Howard gets clear for 3rd. On the outside now, Tommy Ryan, he got hooked early on in this race. His 99 races for a top 5 spot, pushes up on the exit.
And remember, no fast repairs as a car gets turned in the back. Trouble. I believe it's Williams. Car 09. Williams goes around. I don't think he got collected by anybody else. Williams zigs instead of zags. Turns through the tri-oval. The Blue Knights entry into the grass. The Chevrolet might have some damage from the turf on the front and the back. And the caution is out again, Justin. Car, no harm, no foul for everybody else. 09, the driver going around of Williams, and they caution out.
Watch right here, just starts to lose the back end, drifts right in front of Macklin.
Yeah, it's not anybody's fault. Macklin got into him, but it wasn't intentional. And then the 49 also helped. I believe that's Mons. That's our in-race reporter, Justin Mons. But already, Justin, there was already problems on the 09 car.
Remember what I talked about on the starts? It gets very loose and very sticky in terms of difficulty. We've seen exactly that in that case, in my honest opinion, where you just push hard, you end up on the colder tires, just bobble around on the seams in particular, just snap around, and it's not an easy car, as talked about, to save. Very easy to loop it around like that. 2 drivers are gambling on stops, keep in mind. Make it 3. Mons, Dalton, Coleman. Amongst those coming in, Jimmy Coleman specifically. Curious how that plays out. They're way off sync at this point. A lot of these drivers, at this point, you can just put everyone's strategies into a hat and just pull it saying, this is my strat, I'm just taking a right tire, for example. But you can't do that.
So listen, Justin, we were literally going to talk about coming on here for the in-race report, mid-race report. Let's just go ahead and do that right now. We are 3 or 4 laps away to the halfway break here, so we're going to come back and join you on our broadcast coverage from our broadcast booth positions in Canada. Justin Prince down below. I'm Wesley Outland, North Carolina, up top side. There's your broadcast feed alongside, and we're halfway. We're coming up on halfway, Justin. Pretty eventful race at Auto Club. Some thrills, some spills, some cautions, some chills, some big ones. Auto Club hasn't disappointed tonight, and we're still not even done yet.
Well, tonight, I think, emphasizes how much drivers are still learning how to grip this car just at this point. Even with a few weeks official race-wise, this is still for a lot of drivers very new. How you drive this track, how you try and battle in traffic, how you try and clear drivers for passes, how the momentum shift goes on with this car, depending on how your car reacts and feels and conditions of the track. And it's really tested, I think, the best tonight, because several of the top drivers have absolutely struggled, it seemed, to be able to get a quality run, Wesley.
Listen, if this was a real racetrack right now, you'd be seeing a lot of screwdrivers and a lot of knives being used right now to fix the repairs on these race cars. Right now, there's a lot of virtual repairs that are going on. But here's the thing. You're using up your own time clock. There is no fast repairs. Guys are coming back through the field. We're seeing it, Justin. Cars that was involved in accidents earlier, like Jeff Ryan, Glazier, Howard, involved in cautions early, are somehow finding a way to get back in the fight. Beaten, battered, damaged, bruised, they're still banging up at the front to try to pull a win off.
And the more surprising ones to me out of all that is drivers like Daniel Faulkingham, who has some damage still from earlier contact. He's been able to get himself good position, utilize some of the draft to get ahead. EJ O'Rourke has damage on both sides of his front of the car, and he's still up front. Daly. Yeah, Daly, he's got damage. Elliot Henderson's got damage. They've kept track position, have been able to maintain the draft, because the short runs, that's worked out for them. So this is still anybody's race at the way this is going, although I will say, Faulkingham, Gonzalez, amongst those, I think, who you have to watch for the checker flag of the way this is turning out.
And by the way, Daly and the driver Harrison you mentioned, they're driving the way they are because they are in the top 20 after Daytona. Let's go back. That's been your LSRTV mid-race report. We're ready to bring the field back to the Geico restart zone. Green flag goes back in the air just before halfway. 52 laps to go. And they're sending it off into turn number 1, Justin.
Nice clean launch once again for Faulkingham, able to pull away by 3 car lengths into turns 1 and 2, side by side for third. Tommy Ryan wraps the bottom. Gonzalez tries the middle, gets along to the side of Ryan Howard. Howard bobbles off the corner, still gets the run. Sliding up is Gonzalez. He gets side drafted down the back straightaway by Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan gets side drafted back by Glazier to his outside. Drivers in the top 3 now single file into turn 3 as Ryan, nearly clear, forced to check off up turn 4.
And those drivers that I mentioned of Daly and Henderson, second in the points, 9th in the points. Beaten, battered, banged, still staying in the fight. Leader out in front is the champ of last year, Daniel Faulkingham. He stays to the inside. Howard outside. Gonzalez, Ryan, Glazier trying to make something work on the outside lane. And look who's also back up there. Byron Daly back straight away. They're coming to halfway in a couple of more laps in 3.
Remember, points will be scored towards that mark. It's into turn 3. Chad Coleman. Remember, he is amongst those making plenty of starts in his career in SIM500. He's now in the midst. Check up in front with 3 wide coming off the corner. Right on around as well as they come to the front stretch.
3 wide, Byron Daly to the line. It's halfway this time by. By the way, this is not stage racing. They race clean through to lap 100. However, there is halfway bonus points up for grabs towards the season championship. Faulkingham leads them. Look at Ryan. Battles with Gillenwater back straight away as they go to 3. Also behind him is Henderson. We mentioned him as they go to the corner.
Henderson and let by some of the drivers he's fighting with moments ago. Keep in mind for Robert Gillenwater, his gear shifter unplugged at the start of the race. He's recovered to move up to the top 10 for the first time. Contact in front of them. Into the wall goes Daly again.
Cross flags also down below the flag stand from Barney, the iRacing flagman. We're halfway home at Auto Club. 50 down, 50 to go, and my oh my, a hell of a first half. Faulkingham leads. Let's give you the full field rundown as Henderson going at it with Gillenwater. Ryan to the inside. Faulkingham leads. Glazier second. Howard, Gonzalez, Daly, O'Rourke, Coleman, Gillenwater, Henderson. Ryan the top 10. Macklin, O'Leary, Hunter, Stencil, Parker, Woods, Simley, Fowler, Comstock, and Kaplan. Halfway through the field in the top 20 as we're halfway as well, Justin.
Montesi is also inside the top 20 as they wreck in front of 21st. Robert Gillenwater is in the wall. Caution is out. Contact
Wow.
with Elliott Henderson. Gillen Water exited lower off the exit, Wesley. And Henderson
You know-
pushed up into the fender.
Justin, it breaks my heart. We were literally given the full rundown as we do it halfway, and we literally were showing you that battle on our broadcast, and then they show the rest of the field, and all hell breaks loose behind them. Right there, all those cars. Gillenwater was there. The 37 right there that we mentioned of, obviously, Henderson, all tore up. Gillenwater tore up. Caution out.
Henderson just apologized to Gillenwater in sim, saying he misjudged that, and you can definitely tell a little bit with that line. He misjudged where that exit would be, and as well how tight he was going to get in the draft of the 41. At the same time, you have to keep in mind, Gillenwater didn't exit fully towards that wall. Of course, remember, it's been dicey there. But more pit stops, and almost everybody coming in except for, surprisingly, Jose Gonzalez.
A leg! He made a bonsai right, and the Macho Taco decided not to come to the pit lane, and he goes back to the lead. Michael Priester did not pit. Neither did Jimmy Coleman. Tyler Dalton, who led earlier in the race, does not pit, and neither does Christopher B. Williams. But for Faulkingham, Ryan, Howard, Macklin, Glazier, DeBrown, Daly, Wetzel, Edson, Parker, O'Leary, Hunter, O'Rourke, Livingston, Coleman, Yoakum, Woods, Kaplan, Comstock, Stenzel, Simley, Henderson, Montezi, Fowler, and Gillenwater, along with these other cars, they are pitting, and it is possibly the money stop, Justin, as you said, that could take the race to the finish.
Most of these drivers, yes, absolutely, and that makes the decision for Gonzalez and Priester in particular ever more surprising, where I think they're maybe banking on by the time they would have to come in if it was to stay green, they'd be under caution at that point. But that's just the trend of the race, where cautions have bred cautions that cautions that cautions and caution after caution. You never know, though, if you all of a sudden get a long green flag running, that's which drivers end up likely at the very back of the pack, and if not a lap down, and Priester if that becomes the case. Coleman, Dalton, and Williams, though, I'm nervous about them too with this call because they are still outside the window by a couple laps.
This race is only getting started. We're halfway through. Wild first 50 laps, obviously, Justin, and I think we're, what was there, 12 record cautions for NASCAR Cup Series at Auto Club 2 weeks ago when Kyle Larson got the win. And I believe right now our yellow flag race summary analysis, bottom left of the monitor, is our total.
Da-da-da.
There it is.
How about 8?
8. Ha! 8 cautions. 7 different leaders. That's an impressive number, Justin, if I must say so. I know the 8's cautions, but 7 lead changes in this race. Normally, it's one guy dominating this thing.
Some of it is from pit strategy, yes, but keep in mind there have been some great battles for the race lead. Remember, Faulkingham and Dalton put on a great show at the start of the race for that fight, for example. You would also throw in some of the different strategies, also factoring for drivers like Gonzalez to drive to the inside for the race lead. There's been some great battles for that top spot so far, and again, it's ever more present why I still feel like it's anybody's run. But I will say this. I think the drivers who pit that caution are in a very good spot. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't come down again unless they're forced to or have a massively long run here.
There you see Dalton's car. Obviously the 06, we mentioned him earlier, Byron Daly. Faulkingham, Glazier, and they're going to make another lap around here under caution. I think the lights will go off on the pace car this time by. By the way, don't forget, later tonight, about 90 minutes from now, it is the debut race of Season 3 of the Northwest iRacing Cup Series. The next-gen car is back for them for the first time. The duels and the 500 mimic race at Daytona. 200 miles, the Daytona 200, if you will, coming up. Should be an exciting one. Justin Prince is along for the ride all season, every Monday night. Of course, I'm lead announcer for the Northwest Cup Series and Truck Series. Samuel Dyer will join me on Thursday nights. Yes, we're back on Thursdays. And we hope you can join us, whether it is watching on iRacing on LSRTV or listening on the Community Radio Network. All right, Justin, lights are off on the pace car. I think we're just setting ourselves up for some more wild shenanigans to the checkered flag. Your take, bud. We haven't had a long, decent green flag run this entire event.
It almost feels like that everyone decided, Red Fontana, why not mimic Las Vegas for some reason? It feels more so what you would see with the gambles of Las Vegas than you would expect at Fontana. But again, it's just the nature of the car, right? And it's seen in the real world as well. A lot more drivers and teams are willing to take more gambles in pit strategy with this new car and the tire wear and fuel burn.
And with that said, the field will make their way back to the Geico restart zone. Back underway, green flag in the air. Wow, looky here, not wasting no time. They thought of going 3 wide, maybe 4 wide. They do go 3 wide as they go off into the corner. And is that Mr. Williams back in the dogfight again? It is. Glazier, Ryan, Daly, Faulkingham got loose at a 2. What a save on the 39, Justin.
Bit of a bobble coming off that corner, but right now boxed in, pushing Dalton on the exit in towards the entry rather than turn 3. Dalton takes it high, middle line now for Faulkingham. He runs side by side with Daly. Faulkingham loses ground, side drafts back with Dalton.
Back through the start-finish line. Working. Off the corner. Into 1. Gonzalez leading the way. Look at the 18, Glazier. Dalton back up there as well on the outside. Jeff Ryan pulls up in front of Dalton. While that goes on, Daly and Faulkingham battle side by side. That allows Gonzalez, Coleman gone into 3.
Chad Coleman spun down the back straightaway. He's still ongoing. Caution flag does not wave from that one. Side by side, still for position. Meanwhile, trouble Faulkingham hits the wall.
Oh no! Faulkingham spins. Glazier's involved. He gets a punt in the back from the 40 machine of Woods. It is a parking lot. Track is blocked from top to bottom. Everybody getting on the binders to miss him. Edson's involved. Can you say a big one? Talladega Daytona style a week later here at Auto Club. Wow.
Can you say the massive one is the better term?
Yeah.
Because what happened was Faulkingham got loose. He actually clipped a bit of the apron, started to slide up. I think maybe lifted there, which caused him to destabilize and just stacks up with Daly up against the outside wall. Faulkingham sliding back the inside. And everybody just piles on in. It becomes a parking lot. Every lane is blocked, and several drivers pick up additional damage off the grass.
I always use the analogy, open up a virtual Waffle House because they are scattered, smothered, and covered. And that is the case. Look at this destruction one more time. My, wow. Are you kidding me? And either car's got wrecked.
Oh.
Look at that, Charles Woods. Junk in his trunk in the front by Glazier. And honestly, from there, Justin, everybody is either getting caught up in the accident or they're slamming on the binders to miss the accident. They might have flat spotted their tires as well.
Exactly, and that's going to really hurt them too, and maybe force them. For those who didn't get demolished, set, and it's demolished. He was set because why not at this point? But all things serious there. It's not an easy car to slow down. Keep in mind with the brakes because it's different in terms of the sensation, the feel. It's more akin to, as some have described, towards what you would maybe feel in a road car, with some of the influence that came in from that side with the bigger brakes. But in turn, see some of the results there, and for others, just the fear of if they hit the brakes too hard, it will snap around themselves on them there. And just, there's nothing else you can really do when the whole track is blocked and every single possible avenue just slams shut.
Is there any way that we can... Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Gonzalez is obviously the man out in front. Some cars pitted, some cars didn't. Money stopped. Obviously, Justin, these yellow flags are allowing them to conserve fuel, especially in this day and age. How about that? And with 40 laps to go, I think we're setting ourselves up for some crazy racing. Lights are off on the pace car. We'll get ready to go back to green. And our in-race reporter, Justin Mons, is he there or is he gone? Justin Mons.
I know for sure he's out of the race.
He's out of the race, but is he still watching it? That's the question.
Oh, he was
Survey
talking about
says
15.
Yeah, he's not there.
Yeah. I was going to say, he had 15 minutes of required damage he talked about when he was watching along with the fans on the broadcast side, we'll say.
He certainly...
But I will... Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
I was about to really say, as with 40 laps to go, I'm still absolutely surprised this is working out for drivers like Gonzalez at this point, because he still has to come in, obviously, in a few laps, but it almost feels like the strategy of just stay in front of the carnage and hope it works out is kind of working, because everything else is going on behind him. And he's got the cleanest car in the whole field at this point.
Justin, do you believe in the process of elimination? And look at what is going on. There is 43 cars out of 50-some-odd entries that attempted this race, 52. There might be 23, 24 cars left on the racetrack, and obviously the big one just got rid of maybe 8, 9 cars or more. Pace car is in. 40 laps to go. 60 in. Back to the Geico restart zone. In the North Carolina 811 SIM500 Cup Series, round 2 rolls on. Gonzalez, whole shot. Coleman falling back now to third as Coleman and Nim battle. Dalton now back in that mix as that goes on. There's Chad Coleman in that machine. By the way, Jimmy Coleman, Jimmy Coleman. Chad Coleman is what I was mentioning in the 15th spot. 906 green flag starts when he took the green. And and honestly, Justin, he might just be being patient right now. Playing cool.
Trouble, Ryan Wood coming up the track, loops it up.
Uh-oh.
Big caution off the corner. Ryan Howard spun it on the bottom of the circuit off of turn 4. Overcorrected back up the circuit, running to the path of the whole pack.
That's the second time Howard's been involved in a caution. Kaplan also got caught up in it in the FedEx colors of the number 1 of the 3-time Daytona 500 champion of Denny Hamlin. Yellow flag is out, I believe, now for the 12th time, or the 9th or 10th time. Justin, you saw it all break loose in turn 3 and 4.
Watch this run for the 33 off the corner, gets loose. That slides him down, and the thing is, you snap it a little bit too hard to the right, it can automatically just sail you off the circuit. That bit of correction ends up collecting 5, 6 more drivers at least. Absolute craziness.
I'm wondering if we should have an extended replay presented by Pulse Poppers and either go on board, Justin, with the 33 or the 11, or maybe both. You flip-flop them. Let's see what these angles look like. We're on board with Ryan Howard. Look at this, Justin. He was in 2nd spot. Or 23rd, my apologies. Now he's in 23rd. He was in 2nd. That's Gonzalez. Listen. Oh, no.
Just not much he can really do once that thing started snapping to the right. Once it goes right like that, Wesley, you're just along for the ride. And that's just the nature of the car.
Let's go on board with the 11 now for an extended replay. And we're about to see what it was like for Jacob Kaplan. In the pack, in his own world, in the back, mind you, Justin, in the back. Stencil's in front of him in 42. Faulkingham, defending champion, down to the inside. And then all of a sudden, where do you go? Look at this. Wow, and Faulkingham got caught up in it, but he kept going. Oh, my goodness. The champion got caught up in it also, Justin.
Yeah, there's nothing you can really do at that point. You're doing everything right. When you're own business, you don't expect someone to snap back up the racetrack. It's just a matter of wrong place, wrong time. Of note, Howard absolutely destroyed with that, obviously. He's done for the race, it looks like, with a meatball flag. John Fowler also with mandatory repairs. And at this point, down to 19 drivers or so. Everyone else, significant damage repairs currently. Gonzalez continues to look like the smartest person in the room.
Oh, yeah. Man. And Justin, process of elimination, we are slowly but surely losing more cars after more cars after more cars. Race has been entertaining for the viewers, but this has been calamity for these drivers in round 2 of the North Carolina 811 Cup Series at Auto Club.
Did I mention that Jose Gonzalez, one of his favorite tracks, is Auto Club? You can tell with the performance.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because that was one of the main things. Only a few drivers shockingly said Auto Club. A couple did say tracks you have to wheel it. Boy, you have to wheel it tonight. Let's put it that way.
He resides out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, the 49-year-old Big Macho. I call him Macho Taco. And the Smash Goya entry. Been racing since 2003, Late Night Boys and Team VRT. iRacing since 2008. He has 148 career iRacing wins for that driver. And right now, he sits in a nice spot. And yes, you're exactly right, Justin Prince. Auto Club, Homestead, Michigan, his favorite place. He despises road courses. And hey, Michigan and Auto Club, they've always said they mimic each other. And a close second is Chicagoland and Kansas as well.
Absolutely, getting ready to go for the restart here. 36 laps to go. Gonzalez so far led 15 of the 63 complete. Green flags back out, back to racing. Good launch for Gonzalez down the front straightaway, gets clear of Jimmy Coleman. Dalton tries to get the run towards the outside of the 54. Can't get there quite yet. Josh Parker into turn 1 gets alongside Dalton for third.
Closing in on the finish with now 35 laps to go. Next time by, field works their way off turn 2. Gonzalez gone. Inside is Coleman. Dalton back up there along with Parker. Parker zigs from the outside to the inside. They're going to try to stick it 3 wide for the lead. O'Leary back in the battle as they go off into 3 and 4.
Parker tries to sail it off of 4, tries to block Dalton, can't get to the outside. Dalton gets to the quarter panel. Dalton scrapes the wall. 3 wide once again for second spot. Gonzalez pulls away by 7/10. 4 cars covered under a blanket. Thomas O'Leary from the last chance race to the top 5 into turn 1.
For a second, I thought they were going to go 4 wide, maybe even 5 wide. Now they fan back out 2 by 2 with 3 wide coming up with Comstock. Monster Energy Machine pulls in on Leary's to the inside. He's got Dalton to the outside. Where do you go? And how about this, Justin Prince, the Daytona winner last Monday night, Brian Macklin, coming back to the front, the pride of New Jersey, looking to get around Stencil off 4.
Getting the run off of turn 4, side traps Thomas O'Leary, gets right on by him, passes on by easily along the outside wall. O'Leary blocks the car behind. Most of the drivers second on back, now running towards that top to middle groove. Gonzalez, though, in the clean air, starting to get reeled on in towards the back straightaway as the drivers work to get to him.
Keep an eye on all these cars, all these new entries. The driver from Delaware now closes in. He now moves to 7th. O'Leary also there again. Gonzalez out in front. Coleman 2nd. Parker. Dalton. And here's something to think about, Justin. Gonzalez, Parker, Dalton, Macklin, all cars that led in the early going right here of the many different close to 9 lead changes in this race. Working lap number 70 and a few more. O'Leary, Virginia 811 machine, battles the Daytona winner Macklin to the back straightaway as that goes on for 7th and 8th to 3.
A single file right in front of them. Stencil sends it into turn 3 underneath Comstock. Comstock tries to run a lane and a half below the top wall to stick it out well as Stencil gets the run off of turn 4. Back single file amongst them. 0.8 of a second between first and second, 32 to go.
Still too early to be aggressive, I think, but there's been that question out the window the entire 100 lap of feature and the first 70 laps. It's been aggressive since the drop of the green linen. Gonzalez out in front. Stencil now. Comstock to the outside, to the inside. He'll throw the block on Macklin. O'Leary's got nowhere to go, and now they go single file. 6 cars outside lane to 3, trying to run down Coleman and Parker off 4.
Starting to pull off and away as a result of all the squabbling. Parker tries to work with the car in front of Coleman. Tries to build up the run towards the inside now. Coleman stays outside. Parker inside. Tries to get to the quarter panel. Does to the left rear. Tries to get a bit of a side draft. Hard send for Parker. Wraps underneath the first seam. Wraps the bottom. Move Josh Parker to second. 31.5. Down to 30.5 laps to go now to the back.
30 laps to go. Back straightaway. Getting antsy. O'Leary gets some contact on the outside lane. O'Rourke, that's the air bump draft. They hold it together. Also goes Comstock up the racetrack. One more time off the corner. It's Macklin in front of that dogfight. O'Leary can't stay on the bottom for long. It's like a draft with this car. 30 to go now. Here comes also Coleman, the all-time winner, or the all-time starter of this series. Start number 906 tonight for the driver with 42 poles, looking for 49 wins. He of his 48 so far. 30 to go. They're on the back straightaway.
Trying to figure each other out now with the side draft. Thomas O'Leary gets freight train. Nowhere for him to go along towards that outside groove. Tries to send it back inside to turn 3. Comstock stays along his third seam. Gets passed on by. Driven right on by off turn 4 by O'Leary and Chad Coleman. Comstock drops all the way back to 10th down the front.
Under 30 laps to go. Field comes back through the start-finish line. Gonzalez is out in front. Check that. He's gone. It's almost a second back. Biggest pull away in the race so far. Parker, the Daytona pole winner, sits in second. Coleman third. Stencil, Macklin, the Daytona winner, now up to the top 5. And this battle continues as Henderson, Comstock, Weitzel going at it in the top 15 as they set sail to 3.
Several of these drivers, keep in mind, recovering from massive incidents early on in the night. Once the Macklin with his crushed in front nose. It's not mattered so far for him with all the incidents. He tries to build a run down the front stretch. Stencil gives the bump draft to Jimmy Coleman. No for them to go. Meanwhile, behind them, EJ O'Rourke gets sent to the turn 1. He gets the outside from Dalton for the send, but loses his back cover for it.
Closing in on 3/4 complete, 25 to go. He's Justin Prince. I'm Wesley Outland. We welcome you to coverage of round number 2 of the SIM500 Esports League sanctioned North Carolina 811 Call Before You Dig Cup Series. Gonzalez is leading. Parker in second. And there goes my favorite camera angle right there of the dog hanging his head out the window. 41, EJ O'Rourke. He's in 6th. He's played possum all night long. JP, he's coming after him, but also O'Leary. Look at that view on the inside. Driver left. Here comes the Chevrolet of O'Leary looking to go to the top 10.
Can't get the run quite yet. Month that battle for 7th position on circuit. Chad Coleman trying to find a peak. Watches from the back mirror to see where they try and go. O'Rourke chooses middle. Going along to the bottom, Chad Coleman to try and get fresh air. Slides up back along the top side. Doesn't get the run on the exit. 26 laps to go once more at the start and finish line. Stencil with the move run in front of him.
25 remaining. Justin 75 laps has been a humdinger. What do you think we're going to see in the last quarter as the leaders lead with Gonzalez going off turn 2?
If you're Gonzalez, you're hoping for the caution flag within the next 3 laps. He is 50, coming to 51 laps into his stint. That is the major concern, where his gamble of hoping there's not a long run, kind of going the wrong way now. He is the only driver really in that situation. A couple are close, like Jimmy Coleman, to make it to the end in general. But at this point, if you're Josh Parker, you're thinking, my goodness, how are you in this spot? How am I in this position? How am I leading the net grouping as those who are even amongst those who can make it to the end of the race for fuel?
We mentioned Gonzalez. He loves this track. And he is setting sail out in front. Parker to second. The Daytona pole winner. Stencil third. Coleman fourth. Macklin, the Daytona winner last Monday night, in the top 5. Settling in for the final 25 laps. Look at this pack working off the corner. Something we haven't done in a while since the drop of the green is the LSRTV Feel the Roar. And here they are at full song down the stretch in the final quarter at Auto Club. The roar of these new next-gen Cup cars, whether it's in the real deal of the Cup Series or for iRacing. Justin, I know you've been a part of iRacing a lot longer than I have. This is in my second tenure. I did a couple of years back in 2011-12, and then I came back, and this is my 3rd year now. Obviously, I know this is a passion you have. It is phenomenal as we approach 20 laps to go with Gonzalez still leading, Parker in second. That battle going on fiercely behind them between Coleman, Stencil, Macklin, O'Leary, O'Rourke, all the way down to Wetzel and company. Mind you, the work, the dedication that iRacing has put in to make this so realistic, unbelievable.
They're sure to make sure that it's as close to the real world as possible to be able to help with drivers trying to learn the machine, but also make sure that its virtual counterpart matches that pace, matches that feel compared to the real world. Back with Las Vegas, it was brought about by some that the eNASCAR pole and the actual Cup Series pole, the first time ever, matched identical times in that race at Las Vegas. These drivers, though, up towards the front, they're in the midst of trying to fight a former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series competitor at one point. Parker and Chad Coleman are putting on a show for second, what could become the lead if they don't get a caution in the next few laps for Gonzalez to be able to pit under a yellow.
Settle in for the final 20 laps. Coleman, the all-time starter of this series. When the green flag fell, he took 906 greens. He has 48 all-time wins. The all-time winner, of course, as you mentioned, JP, is Daniel Faulkingham at 105. But Chad Coleman is in the top 10 with 48. And mind you, The races are not done yet. Gonzalez leading. Coleman now trying to hold off everyone behind him for second, but in doing so, with 20 laps to go, or under 20, Justin, Gonzalez is licking his chops. He's put the car in stealth mode, almost 1.92 seconds at the line. He's gone. Macho Taco looking for a macho win at Auto Club.
The big question is going to be, though, in everybody's minds, can he actually make it on gas? He's outside the window, definitely. But here's the massive concern for Gonzalez, too. How is he going to pit under
I think it's going to
green?
be a caution.
You have to, that's exactly what he's got to have to hope at this point, and why he hasn't come in yet. You come in, and there's a caution a couple laps later, you risk putting yourself a lap down. So at this point, stay out as long as you can until you very much have to come in to get that gas with how this is playing out tonight.
I sincerely agree in his sentiments for Gonzalez. We're going to see another caution. Look at how aggressive these guys are. Working behind Parker is Stencil. Some of these guys we mentioned involved in cautions or spins earlier in the race, including all those guys in the top 3, top 4, top 5. Parker, Stencil, Macklin, Henderson, O'Leary. All cars, John, that we mentioned, Justin, that got caught up in accidents or spins earlier in the race. And look at them, Pat and Charlie, down the home stretch, ready to try to win this thing away from Gonzalez.
Let's put it this way. If there were several more clean drivers, these cars would not be in your lead group, but because of the amount of attrition that's built up, every single driver in this train has been involved at least one bit of contact, whether it's with the wall, another competitor, and you can kind of see it with some of the drivers struggling. But Gonzalez, I've noticed, he's starting to slow down the tempo. He's lost a tenth and a half the past 2 laps. This group has finally figured it out, finally closing things on up, with drivers in sequence trying to work together to lead the tempo, work together in the draft to get back up to Gonzalez and force him to push.
15 laps to go. Look at the 37. There's Henderson. Wow. Shades of a Daytona draft, if you will. Just a few moments ago, Justin trying to close in under O'Rourke and shut the door on Jimmy Coleman. And he had to back off because he could have tore that car all to pieces on the front end of that 37 machine Chevrolet of Henderson. And now he'll just weasel his way onto the outside lane and pull behind Coleman. And Henderson will follow. 15, 14 to go at the line. Here comes now Hunter on the inside after Henderson as they come to the stripe out of 4.
Right now, their speeds are getting to the point where in entry in particular is where they're picking up a lot of that time of notice, been able to send it a little bit deeper, those competitors, while Gonzalez is trying to find any way to be able to find that magic fuel-saving tree. That's going to be the major concern for him at this point, with him losing those 4 tenths. Scott Stencil, though, he wants to jump the line at the head of the group, side by side with Parker into turn 3. Stencil sends it into the inside. He clears on by Parker. Now we'll swap things around in the Hornet's Nest.
13, bad number. That's what remains here at Auto Club. And look at the fierce battle with O'Leary on the inside. O'Rourke in front of them is the machine of Macklin. Bump draft, side draft, front draft, rear draft, any kind of way draft coming off the corner. Using it to your advantage. Down the stretch they come. That analogy used in equestrian racing, the horse racing, and it's used here like these virtual thoroughbreds. At speed, into 3. Macklin and Leary send it off into the corner. And now Coleman goes to the top shelf in the Angels Expressway in the City of Angels, just outside at Auto Club off turn 4.
Coleman trying to break some of the draft to the head of the group. Keep in mind now with some of the battling, Macklin can't block the run though for the weight of Thomas O'Leary. O'Leary dives to the inside, tries to go for the send. Can he park the bus? He tries it along the bumps. Can't get himself to rotate well enough. Macklin keeps it pinned on the outside. Back to the run to the corner panel. The 08 drops on back as a result. Jimmy Coleman now works with the run for Macklin into turn 3.
Here comes O'Leary. Back down to the bottom. Macklin in the middle. Coleman. Where do you go? This is going on from 6th, 7th, and 8th. 11 remaining. You got to think too, John. John and I would say this on several occasions, Justin. You got to think smart driving. I know we're going to start getting aggressive down the stretch, but you gotta race smart. If you want to be there at the end, yes, you gotta race hard, but you can't make some crazy move and end up tearing your car and take your chance out of the race amongst others. We saw this on the super speedway at Daytona. That's super speedway racing. You methodically got to be smart as we come to the line here with 10 laps to go to send it to be the car to win. And Gonzalez gives up the lead. He comes down to pit road. Maybe this Cinderella story he thought that would get a late race caution has expired, Justin.
Last slipper has shattered for now. Just one pit stop the entire day. Now he has to come in for the second stop. Not able to make it to the end, but that means the race lead is down to the whole pack of 11 who are grouped up close to one another. Chad Coleman, the current leader now. As a result, Stenzel in second, Parker in third. Macklin has lost ground in fourth. It could be anybody's race, though, with 9 to go.
And remember, with lap 91 on the board, under 10 remaining, a chance at 2 attempts at a green-white checker for overtime if need be. That might be, Justin, what possibly Gonzalez, who currently is still in the top 20, is settling for. Right now, it's Coleman looking out in front, moving by lap traffic. 8 to go, but Stenzel and Parker are reeling him in like bait on a hook off turn 4.
Huge lap traffic in front, though. A huge dart to the left side. Past Hollingsworth goes the race leader in Chad Coleman. He picks up the draft from Charles Woods and Glenn Campbell. They stick to the outside wall. The leaders now dive to the middle in the bottom line. Campbell elects to go to the middle of the track instead. Coleman gets clear. Middle of the line still for the lap cars as Stenzel clears. Parker forced to lift as Campbell gets past.
Lap cars staying out of the way. Here comes now Parker. Clearing by lap cars in the process as Coleman and Stenzel have. Cut the lead now to 0.02 of a second, maybe less. 1/100th of a second to the line. Stenzel, Parker, reeling in Coleman down the stretch, lap number 90 to 8. Now lap 93, 7 to go, back to turn 1, and look at Stenzel with a run on the outside on Coleman off 2.
Stenzel trying something different along that middle line. Can't get the run he's looking for yet. Tries to get the draft back down the backstretch. Parker tries to work with along the palm trees against the wall. Turn 3, this run for Stenzel. Forced to lift. Tries to time it up. Gets a half lane lower. Then Coleman. Coleman cracks the throttle. Stenzel tries to stick it back. Stenzel with a run. Parker nearly smacks the wall behind him.
To the line, it will be 7, now make it 6 laps to go. Home stretch time. Late race caution, will it happen? As Coleman looking to be not only the all-time starter of the race with 906 starts tonight, he's also looking to get win number 49, which will put him 2 of the top 5 of the all-time win list. He's better hold on, though. Stenzel on driver left. Camaro versus Camaro. Open hand from the flagman. 5 to go at Auto Club, and Coleman, Stenzel battle back to 1.
Stenzel getting the run alongside, tries to side draft. Coleman tries to give space. Descend to the inside by half a car length for Stenzel. Stenzel rides on top of the first seam. Pinching on down is Coleman. Coleman gets the better launch off turn 2. Parker tries to get the run on back. Side draft back for the 42 of Stenzel. Stencil gets the more speed down the backstretch. He gets the dive into turn 3. Stencil tries to go back to the bottom. Parker tries to run the third line. Second line for Coleman. Coming out of turn 4, 4 laps to go.
It's Camaro, Toyota, 1, 2, and 3, less than a half of a second. That interval that they had earlier is gone. They're now mere 50 thousandths of a second. Here to the inside, Stencil makes the move on the inside of the machine of Coleman. Coleman outside, Parker stays with Coleman. That's his wingman. 3 wide behind them with Henderson, Macklin, and Weitzel off turn 2 and 4 to go.
Stencil now clear for the race lead, but how long will that last? Chad Coleman building up the run. Cracks the throttle down the back straightaway, backs up the corner. Will he be able to try and time it up right to get past the 42 once again? So far, Coleman 7 laps led. He's got the great run, trying to get lap lead number 8 as he elects to push instead.
Hold on, it's not done yet. Stencil holding off on everyone on the outside lane. Boy, one wrong slip and a bump draft and even lap traffic as a pick up in front of the pack can cause calamity. 3 laps to go. That's the equivalent on a 2-mile track at Auto Club. 6 miles remain. Now make it maybe 4.5 miles. 3 wide, lap car on the inside, getting past. And look at Coleman and Stencil battle back on the inside as they come to 2 to go. They're still door to door. Camaro and Camaro. Parker doesn't know which way to go or who to go with as they cross the line out of 4.
Parker elects to go with Coleman. Pushes Coleman clear of Stencil. Side by side now for second. Stencil keeps his foot on the outside. Parker forced to crack the throttle. Tries to diamond the corner off turn 2. Parker gets towards the white line. Can't get himself side by side with Stencil. Lines back up with the back bumper, the 42 now. Coleman trying to figure out where to go. Stays up on the high side. Coming into turn 3. Coming to the white flag this time by.
It's the CRN 1 to go. All details at wearecrn.com. iRacing is back with the Northwest Cup Series tonight. Plus baseball, softball, and soccer all week. One more lap to go at Auto Club. It's Coleman looking for win number 49. If he can hold on one more time, he leads the field off from the final time in the corner.
Lap traffic ahead. Jeff Ryan, Daniel Faulkingham try and move out of the way. Faulkingham darts to the inside. Jeff Ryan ducks to the inside as well. Coleman tries to hold on for 2 more corners. Darts to the inside early. Stencil keeps his foot in it. Tries to get to the quarter panel. Can't get there. Coleman with a good run off of turn 4.
Here they come for the final time. It's win number 49 for the driver in the all-time win list at 906. It's Coleman. He'll come to the line and win here at Auto Club. Second spot will go, of course, to Josh Parker, finally getting around Scott Stencil. Elliott Henderson will finish in 4th. Macklin, the Daytona winner, in the top 5. And it is a celebration for the driver of car number 38. He took the green flag tonight. He's the all-time starter of races in the SIM500 League at 906. Now make it win number 49, which now puts him 2 away from the top 5 from Daytona winner Justin Prince last week of Brian Macklin. It's Chad Coleman winning in the late rally at Auto Club Speedway.
What a whirlwind of a night, to say the very least, tonight. You never knew at many of these points tonight how this would finish out. Who would take the checker flag? Chad Coleman timed it up right. Got himself the track position. Went on the right strategy. At the end, was able to keep the car clean enough to find a way around the others and hold on for the final couple laps.
And now he will burn it down here at Virtual Auto Club Speedway. Here is a look at your final unofficial results here tonight when it's all said and done in round number 2, if you will, of the SIM500 NC811 Call Before You Dig Cup Series. Pendergrass, Georgia native, Chad Coleman winning. Josh Parker second. Scott Stencil, Elliott Henderson, Brian Macklin, Bobby Witzel, Scott Simley, E.J. O'Rourke, Thomas O'Leary the 4th, and Jimmy Coleman the top 10. 11th is going to go to the driver of Tyler Hunter, David Comstock 12th, Gerald Livingston 13th, Joachim Williams Gonzalez leading, had to pit with under 10 laps to go on a strategy that he thought was probably going to be a late race caution to get back in the dance. He'll settle 1 lap down in 17th. Tommy Ryan, Tyler Dalton, Nelson Rivera, 2-3 laps down, halfway through the unofficial results at Auto Club.
Tough breaks back there for many of those drivers tonight, but for 21st spot tonight, that went the way of Charles Woods, 5 laps down. Mike Kelly, after contact with the wall, was unable to recover, finished 7 laps down in 22nd. Then Jeff Ryan, he ended up having to move to the inside of the final laps, 23rd, 8 laps down is where he ends. Mike Monteseed finishes 24th as well, with Bentley Glazer, 25th, 9 laps down. 10 laps down in 26 was Kevin D. Brown, along with Jeff Hollingsworth, 13 laps down in 27. Glenn Campbell finished in 28th. Mons and Edson rounded out the top 30 amongst the DNF list. Joey Katina, also amongst that list, was involved in the opening cautions and was on the back foot from there. Ryan Howard, after his situation off of turn 4, finishes in 2nd. Jacob Kaplan, 33rd. John Fowler, 34th. Kelly was a contender at one point, finishes instead in 35th. Michael Priester finished in 36th. Robert Gillenwater, after having a shifter failure on the opening start of the race, finding himself in the top 5, ends up finishing in the garage area 50 laps. 7. Mo finished in 38th tonight, with Galantoni from the LCQ to the lead at one point, nearly the end of the top. Arnold, the last of the drivers, being tonight Indoy Williams, Dwight Beverly 42nd, and Robert Riley III, who did qualify in on time, did not make the start, did not turn a single lap tonight.
And by the way, Doug Sigmund, Shannon Wood, Ron Holyfield, Paul Crumry, Richard Beasley, Jose Medina, and Randall Watkins. Thank you for playing your attempt, of course, coming up shy to make that 43-car field, but we do want to acknowledge them of 52 entries to go for round 2 at Auto Club. Justin, I am going to step away for just a few moments. We're going to let Justin Prince handle post-race interviews with the top 3, including Chad Coleman, who is now 2 away from 5th on the all-time win list. He's the all-time starter of the series when the green flag fell with 906, and now he picks up his 49th win, the driver out of Pendergrass, Georgia. We will talk to Chad Coleman and the rest of the other drivers when we come back in just a moment, and then Justin and I will wrap it up from Auto Club.
Welcome back to tonight's coverage of SIM500 action in what was an intriguing night here at Auto Club Speedway. First, it's time to talk to your race winner after a wild finish. It's Chad Coleman who takes the checkered flag. Chad, your reaction to coming away with victory 49 of your career.
That was pretty good. That was a lot of fun right there at the end. Once it got strung out, you know, the beginning of the race was rough. Like, we ain't gonna lie, that was rough. But I mean, that's really a lot of the guys in this league, they haven't run many races in this car at anything other than Daytona. But the end right there was fun. Man, we got strung out, was able to race. me and Scott raced like hell, door to door, leaning on each other. Man, you can't ask for much more than that. Like, he raced me with respect, so I raced him right back with it. So, and we put on a pretty good show about the last 10 laps, I figure.
I was going to say that was an absolutely brilliant fight, it seemed like, all throughout the night to be able to get yourself in that situation in the first place. But you mentioned the difficulty with some of the drivers learning this. What was that process like for you, knowing how difficult this could be, but also knowing the reprogramming effort that a lot of the drivers seem to be having to take compared to high downforce, low horsepower, low downforce, high horsepower now with this next gen?
Yeah, the biggest thing with this car is once it starts to step out, it's extremely hard to get back. Like, if it just wiggles, you're fine with it. But if it steps out to a certain degree, I mean, it's gone. I mean, you've seen some really, like, I'm not saying anything about myself, but you've seen some really good drivers self-spin tonight. Like, Faulkingham spun out, Ryan Howard spun out. I spun out off of turn 2 right before half lap before the big wreck happened on the front straightaway. So right there, I got a gift. So I wasn't involved in that, but I mean, man, these are not bad guys that are spinning out. So I mean, you're gonna drive it on the edge. That edge is razor thin.
Absolutely, with how this car can drive. But the next time out was Las Vegas, and NASCAR drivers had a whale of a time sorting out that racetrack with this car. Your opinion for how you will sort out that circuit with 120 laps up on the board?
Honestly, I feel like it's going to go much like it did here, just a smaller, more condensed, narrow groove track. So that should be interesting. Hopefully we don't have all the troubles we did in the first 50-ish first half of this race. Hopefully the Vegas goes better. But man, at the end, you couldn't ask for much better racing. This thing races a lot. This thing's a lot of fun to race. You just got to get to the point where you can race, and we did a bad job of that in the first 50 laps.
Well, I want to thank for the run tonight, especially knowing the amount of starts you've had, and you being just one away from 50 victories now.
Yeah, my win percentage is terrible, but I got to thank Michael Sharp Racing. All the sponsors on this car is stuff that he hooked me up with. I got to thank Trey Hodson for painting it. I mean, everything he's painted me for the last 2 years has been great. And I got to thank all the guys in Team Name, and especially Josh. Josh helped me right there. He helped me get clear, and I got to thank him. Without him giving me the push to get clear out there, there's no telling what would have happened between me and Scott on the last lap.
Congratulations once again to the victory tonight, Chad.
Thanks, guys, and thank you guys for the broadcasting.
That's Chad Coleman coming from 22nd to 1st to win tonight's action here at Auto Club. For Josh Parker, got the shout-out from Chad Coleman. He also stands on by here. Josh, first of all, talk us through from your perspective of those things, because as mentioned just moments ago by Chad Coleman, you're a big part of how he was able to get the victory with that bump draft down the front.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have power the whole race. My car was destroyed before we even took the green flag today, so it was kind of unfortunate. But we got the damage fixed, and I was pretty much just a sitting duck. I couldn't really do anything, so I was just hoping, those two in front of me would race it out. But yeah, I took Chad out the last lap last week, so I owed him one this week, and I'm glad I could repay it, and now I'm gonna have to worry about the rest of the year.
For those wondering where some of that damage that he's referring to came from, there was that stack up as noted from the opening lap about 25-30 feet after the start and finish line. How difficult was it to try and figure out if you could even get yourself to that spot, whether it was strategy or just outright talent and pace, knowing the damage?
It was brutal. These cars are harder to drive. Like Chad said, you see good drivers self-spinning, but you see a lot of different people running up front, just like they are in real life. So it's harder than it looks. I had to play strategy with some tires and fuel just to get track position. But even at the end there, it was just good to see different names up there. It was definitely a struggle. I can already tell this is going to be a track position type of season.
And on that note, anyone you want to thank for your run tonight?
yeah, everyone over at Team Name, we all work together. You know, we have a good time. Bill Schoonover with Schoonover Motorsports Faulkingham, Chad, like I said, running a good race there. Scott, I got to thank him. He ran a good race as well. And then you guys doing the broadcasts, always a pleasure.
Congratulations again on the run.
Appreciate it.
That's Josh Parker in second. Third spot, Scott Stencil. Talk us through your perspective of that final lap run to be able to fight for the race victory.
Hey, if this next-gen car is producing racing like that at the end, I'm in. I think this is awesome because it's been a long time since I've been able to shoot for a win, and to just come right out and do that, that's pretty neat. And the group of guys I was racing with, you know, Chad and Josh, a lot of respect for them for keeping it clean and green there at the end. And yeah, we leaned on each other. Yeah, they helped each other out. Yeah, I would have did the same thing. It's a bummer, though, that we had a rough start to get it going. I think a lot of drivers are just trying to figure it out, like myself. I even spun. I don't know if you got that on camera or not, Justin, but I spun myself out halfway through the race. I think, Chad did the same, and we still rebounded. So really happy for this Personal Comfort Chevy team.
How long do you feel will be for everyone to get these full grips back to this car, knowing the difficulties with said machinery, to be able to stick around the track?
I hope no one figures it out. I hope it's just me and Chad and Josh. That's it.
Anyone I want to thank for the run tonight?
I want to thank my sponsor, Personal Comfort. Better number bed, a better price. I sleep on one, and I'm the co-founder of this company, and it's an awesome bed. It's, if you've ever heard of Sleep Number, we're their #1 competitor. I also want to, thank Trey Eidson for hooking me up with a killer scheme. My teammate, E.J. O'Rourke, has also the Personal Comfort scheme. He finished third yesterday, so we both finished back-to-back thirds. I think Personal Comfort definitely has got something for him this year, and Trey, he's been up front quite a bit too. Thank my wife for watching the 3 kids as my baby was screaming in the background on lap 80. I felt I was done, but she let me race, so appreciate everybody, and you guys in the booth. Justin, you do a hell of a job.
Once again, that is Scott Stencil coming away with the strong run tonight in third. I'd like to thank him, Josh Parker, Chad Coleman for taking the time to speak with us. In just a quick moment, we'll be rejoined by Wesley Oatland to close things on up. You're watching SIM500 coverage on LSRTV from iRacing's virtual Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California.
So, again, there you have it. A wild event here at the virtual Auto Club Speedway. The thoughts of the drivers, and the man picks up the win. And by the way, Justin, your final thoughts here, and I'll give my final take as well on this event. And you know what I was looking at while I was taking just a quick breather to reset? This is what it means to be in the point standings or to be a winner early in the season. The points were tighter than a lid on a pickle jar by less than 10, 12 points into the race. Macklin won Daytona. He's going to leave here tonight at Auto Club with a 15-point lead over, guess who? The winner tonight, Chad Coleman. And here's another thing to think about, Justin. In addition to drivers like Faulkingham and Henderson and O'Leary that had problems early and eventually climbed the ladder and stays in the hunt in the points, or a guy like Byron Daly who falls back out of the top 10 and loses points because of having a bad finish, and even Bobby Weitzel or Jimmy Coleman. You think of a guy like Chad Coleman. He picks up the win, Justin, and just like that, from 17th last Monday night to now second in the point standings in a Run for championship.
It's still very early on in the season, obviously, Wesley. That's the big thing for one. But the thing is, when it comes to those marks, is how are the drivers going to be able to try and maintain the consistency from track to track? It was talked about by some. They're hoping some don't ever learn the car. That's easier said than done as well, because the thing is, it was expected in the virtual side as well as the real world. See lots of different comers and goers throughout the season as different techniques are learned and different methods are learned to drive this machine, as well as how to work around said machinery. That's going to be the main thing to watch for at Las Vegas to see is which drivers have learned, which drivers still need to go to class, and which drivers are in the middle of still trying to find the textbook.
And that's going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Auto Club for the SIM500 NC811 Call Before You Dig Cup Series. SIM500.com for more information and their social media handles at LSRTV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as at iRacing. And remember, the next race is next Monday as it mimics the NASCAR Cup Series schedule in real life. We're going to Viva Las Vegas, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Atlanta, all coming up. For everybody at Live Sim Racing and Rocket Media, for Jeff Stabnow and Charles Wooten, for, of course, our thoughts and prayers with my colleague and color partner, John Muschin, unable to be here tonight. For Justin Prince, I'm Wesley Outland. Congratulations to Pendergrass, Georgia's Chad Coleman, winner for his 49th time in 906 starts in the